Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first AMA of 2025. My name is Provincial Constable Good, and I'm a recruiter in the Northeast region with the OPP. I'm broadcasting live today from Thessalon, Ontario, and I'm here to talk to you about policing in Northern Ontario. So before I get started, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my journey as an OPP officer, how I ended up here. So I grew up in Southern Ontario. I decided to pursue my university at Laurentian University in Sudbury. I went there for sport and physical education with hopes to become a phys ed teacher. So just after my fourth year of studies, I remember a Sudbury regional officer coming into our class and talking to us a little bit about policing. And it was my last year of university. I was noticing that my friends in university were not getting teaching jobs. There were a lot of people trying to get teaching jobs at the time and not as many opportunities. So I thought, you know what, went out on a whim, did some testing through the applicant testing services, which is what you had to go through when I was looking at a career in policing. So I went and did my testing with that service and then applied to the OPP. I was extremely lucky to get hired pretty much right out of university. So I'll bring you to my first encounter with the OPP. I was posted at the Burlington HSD detachment. I was there for 2 years, and my hopes originally were to stay in Northern Ontario because I grew a love for it when I was in Sudbury and going to school there. So I went to Burlington. I served 2 years down there, put in my transfer to go north, where my partner was currently residing. After 2 years in Burlington, I did get my transfer. I transferred up to the Elliott Lake OPP detachment. I went up there and I was welcomed by a great platoon with 3 other officers and a sergeant at the time. Going from a highway safety division detachment to a general law enforcement detachment was a huge difference for me. Totally different career, we'll say. The OPP obviously offers many careers within a career, but this was a challenge, being an officer that was had 2 years on the job and then all of a sudden going to a law enforcement going to a general duties detachment. It was a big change. I'd never knocked on anyone's door before. I was used to writing speeding tickets, going to collisions, things like that, and then all of a sudden I'm going to domestic disputes and other calls for service that I was unfamiliar with how to deal with. I had, again, a very supportive platoon that helped me out and guided me in the right way. After that, I put in a transfer to get to the Blind River OPP detachment. After maternity leave, I was offered transfer to Blind River. I spent 7 years in Blind River. I was provided with plenty of learning opportunities. I was given plenty of opportunities to work on different shifts, which was great, to work with different officers. And then I put in another transfer to the Thessalon OPP detachment, which was my first choice when I first applied to the OPP. And after 7 years in Blind River, I was given the opportunity to transfer there. So I have worked in Southern Ontario in the Highway Safety Division. I'm now in the Northeast region at the East Algoma Thessalon OPP detachment, and I wouldn't change a thing. So I'm here today to kind of answer your questions about policing, Northern Ontario policing, and the recruitment process. So please put any questions that you have in the chat. I'll try to get to as many as I can, and we'll go from there. So see there's a question here. What's your favorite part of your job? So the one thing I really love about my job, when I was working the road, obviously I'm a recruiter right now. I love my job doing recruitment, but when I was working the road, my favorite thing was being really involved in my community, getting to go to the community events, and being a positive role model in my community. Getting to go to the schools and waving at the kids, and you know what? Sometimes people will call police because it's an emergency, but other times it's nice to go by the schools. It's nice to go by events that are going on and kind of show them that you're not there just for the emergency. You're also there to help people and just to kind of to be a positive role model in the community. So yeah, just getting involved in my community, and that's by far my favorite part. So I have another question here. Were there big differences between policing in Burlington versus the northern places you worked? So absolutely, I kind of touched on that. Burlington Detachment is part of the Highway Safety Division. So they police specifically the highways. They do work alongside other police services such as like Hamilton, Toronto, Peel, all those other police services that surround the highway. So they do work hand in hand. But a lot of your calls for service, or most of them, are on the highway. So you're going to collisions, you're going to pedestrians on the highway, debris, things like that. And not really going into your community as much because you're more focused on the highway and the calls for service there. So you don't get as many opportunities to get involved in your community as much. As well, working on the Highway Safety Division, I found that I stopped a person and I would never see them ever again. So that was a strange thing. I feel like being in northeastern Ontario and even northwestern Ontario, or even a general duties detachment, you get a chance to get more involved in your community because you see the same people over and over. You go to the town hall or the city hall, and you can actually talk to people about things that are going on in the community. Whereas on Highway Safety Division, I didn't really get a chance to do that, which was something that I really wanted to do as a police officer. So don't get me wrong, Highway Safety Division, all about it. I think it's awesome. It's a great opportunity to, especially if you're into driving on the highways and investigating collisions, great opportunities there. But for me, I was just looking for more of a community-based policing, and that's what I got when I came up to northeastern Ontario. So I see somebody posting that they're an auxiliary officer right now at the OPP detachment in Burlington. Thank you for volunteering with us. Every detachment needs volunteers. We appreciate you. And being an auxiliary member is a great opportunity to kind of, as like a stepping stone to becoming a constable. It gets you out there. You can do ride-alongs. You can go to community events depending on which detachment you're out of. So it's a great way to get involved. So how long does the process normally take? That's a question that somebody's asked. It depends. Right now we're saying around anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Sometimes it's a little faster, sometimes it's a little slower. So it just depends where you're looking to go, things like that. Again, our process has multiple different stages in it. So again, when you first apply, applications are online now with the OPP. Back a few years ago, they were paper, and now they're all online. So it makes things a lot easier, and you can do them from anywhere in the country, whether you're out doing university in Australia, trying to get your teacher's degree out there, or England, or wherever you are. Plenty of opportunities to apply from anywhere in the province. The whole process actually can be done from behind your computer. You don't have to go anywhere for any of your interviews, which is really nice. It's made it accessible for people, especially in Northern Ontario, where it can take a long time to get from one community to the next. So just to touch base a little bit about Northern Ontario. So Northeast and Northwest, we have two regions up in the north. They obviously geographically are the largest areas that the OPP patrols. We have the least amount of officers representing or policing in those areas compared to the rest of the different regions that the OPP covers. So the opportunities in the north are huge if you want to be an officer up in the north. Plenty of opportunities to learn, to get courses that you might be interested in. So an example is if you are interested in, say, forensics, you're interested in becoming a scenes of crimes officer. If you are in a Southern Ontario detachment, sometimes there's lots of people that want to go on these courses. So the opportunities aren't available for an officer that may have a year or two on the road. But in Northern Ontario, detachments tend to have less officers, so there's more opportunities for getting these specific courses. I know one question that I've had in the past is regarding forensics is how do I get involved? This is something that I've gone to school for. How do I get involved and get this training? And again, go work on the road. After your year of probation, let your supervisor know that you're interested in something like that. And if there's an opportunity, then they at least know that they can put your name forward for it. Okay. So how hard would it be to find housing for somebody in the northern detachments? So again, if you're thinking of applying to the OPP, a benefit to coming to Northern Ontario is housing prices. They tend to be much lower than the GTA area or say the larger communities in the West region or the East region. My suggestion is before you apply, look online, look at the housing there, see how much the housing prices are, decide if that is an area that's for you. Do your homework before you put down a detachment on your application, because you are potentially moving out of wherever your home is right now. So make sure that you do that homework and make sure that you research it. Reach out to the detachments in the area and ask to speak to an officer about the area if you're offered a position there, to get that information that you need about these areas. So some of our detachment areas, such as a few detachments in the Northwest, they do have government housing, and that's an opportunity for you to stay there while you're working. But then again, my suggestion is to do your homework, call the detachments. If you're offered a position with the OPP, call that detachment. Sometimes there's areas that officers wouldn't suggest you live. Sometimes there's good places. So just call and do your homework. So there's a question here regards to northern posting. Does the OPP fly you in and out when you request? So no, that's not something that the OPP does. So the OPP, there are communities that we do assist and police that are fly-in locations, and that's ones that you would apply to after your off probationary period. So those can be places like Weagamo, I think North Caribou and Pikanchcom. Those are some communities that we do support. We do fly in and out of those places, but those are detachments that you would be posted to or asked to police at after your probationary period. So I see somebody here that just posted that their process took them 2 months. So again, it depends on the time that you apply. It depends on where you want to go, things like that, and how long it's going to take, as well as background investigators, they do have to call your references. And when you apply to the OPP, you do have to have 9 references listed. So make sure that that you make them aware that you put them down as a reference, so that they're ready to schedule an interview with a background investigator if you do make it that far. I see somebody's post that they have a local focus interview next week, next Friday, and they're looking for some advice. So my suggestion is just be yourself. We're just looking for, we're really just looking to learn about you. We want to talk about your application. We want to talk about all the 10 areas of assessment. So my other suggestion is look at the OPP website. So we do have a lot of different areas on our website that you can look at. So make sure that you review everything, and our 10 areas of assessment. So that's fitness, education, lifestyle and life experience, maturity, community service, employment, leadership, driving, special skills, communication skills. I don't know if I said driving. So 10 areas that we are going to be asking you about. There are areas that we already asked you about on your application. So there's no tips no tricks in the interview. We just want to know about you. So just be yourself. Somebody's asking me if I'm a mom and how I manage my job and young kids. So it is a challenge for sure, but it's doable. I started my career with the OPP without children. I did go and have 2 mat leaves after a few years of policing. And so I did go through that, coming back to work after having children. I do have children that are very active playing sports. So I make it work. I schedule things. Right now, obviously, the OPP has many careers within a career, so there's plenty of opportunities to take positions that might be more of a Monday to Friday thing, or there's plenty of opportunities to work the road, and sometimes working shift work is a nice thing when you have children, because then you have days off during the week when you can get things done. So you can take your kids to appointments, like dentist appointments, doctor's appointments. So getting those opportunities while children are at school, it's great. So I have somebody asking about dates for OPP and upcoming classes. So I know we do have a class that's coming up. So we're currently just hiring right now for March, and I believe it's the June classes that are coming up. So we do have plenty of classes. OPP has switched from, OPC has switched from 3 classes a year to now 4 classes a year. So we are hiring. Again, with the OPP, when you do get hired, you're told right away where you're going to be policing. You're going to be told the date that you have to report to the Provincial Police Academy. You will go there for a week, where you will be given your equipment. You will be given all the information that you need, and what you need to bring to the Ontario Police College. And then you will be doing online Ontario Police College courses that will be going on for approximately 3 weeks. And then you will report to the OPC in London. You're going to be there for approximately around 8 weeks. You're going to be doing your training. That's when you're with all the other police services in Ontario. And then once you are successful in that, then you will go back to the Provincial Police Academy. You'll be there for another 2 months, and you're going to be doing OPP specific training at that time. After the OPP specific training, then you will graduate with your OPP class, and then you will be sent to your detachment and meet with your coach officer. And that's when you will start your 1-year probationary period. If you're going to a northern detachment, you're obviously going to be given an opportunity to commute back there and then start working. So I'm going to touch base a little bit more about Northern Ontario. I haven't seen a lot of questions about Northern Ontario. So just some benefits. Again, I touched base a little bit about being able to afford a house. So the affordability in the north of housing. Also, when you go to Northern Ontario, if you go to duration posting, that could be anywhere from 2 to 5 years. So specific detachments have specific timeframes that you have signed on to work there. So an example is Kirkland Lake. That's a detachment in the Northeast region. It's a 5-year duration posting. So if you are placed to a place like Kirkland Lake, when you accept that job, the minute you start working there with your coach officer, that's the start of your 5-year durationary period. So you go up there, you work for 5 years. The good thing about going to a duration posting is that after those 5 years, you get something called a duration card. So I consider this like a golden ticket. So the minute that you complete those 5 years, you get this duration card and you can apply to transfer anywhere in Ontario. Your name gets put on a list, but you bump anyone else that's not duration complete. So say you want to go to a sought after Southern Ontario detachment, you go up to Kirkland Lake, you do your 5 years up there, then you want to get to, say, Burlington Highway Safety Division, and that's a sought after detachment at that time. Your name would bump anyone else that's on the list to get there. The other good thing is that we do have a unit that is called the relocation unit that helps you move all your items. So they will make arrangements for all of your items to be moved from Kirkland Lake to the Burlington detachment or to your new residence in Burlington, wherever you're going to move. So the OPP helps officers move from one location to the other if you're going to and from a duration posting. Okay, so question about the 3 weeks online for the Ontario Police College. Again, this is new for us because, again, last year was the first year they started doing 4 intakes at the Ontario Police College. My understanding, it's a combination of both. You will be at the Provincial Police Academy just to make sure that you can log on, that you are set. You can do the online learning from home, and then you will get to go home at some point to do the online learning from home before you have to report to the Ontario Police College. But that could change at any time too. So again, I kind of told you about myself, about how I went to school to be a phys ed teacher, and then spur of the moment decided I was going to become a police officer, and that was my new dream. So it doesn't matter what you take in school. Again, we want to know about your education. We want to know how you did in high school. We want to know that you are willing to learn. The job as a police officer is always changing. Every year we do have to complete lots of online learning, different courses. If we want to get into specific units, we have to learn new skills. So the OPP just wants to know that you are willing to learn. You don't need to have a university or college degree. We also like to know about your life experience. So there are some people that just have their high school diploma, and that is fine. We're fine with that. Sometimes life experience is invaluable. So you know what? In the end, we just want to know what you have done, and we want to know that you are able to achieve that minimum of 75% at the Ontario Police College. Someone here asking about doing a ride along. So the OPP does offer ride-alongs depending on the detachment. My suggestion is reach out, ask to speak to an officer at the detachment, see if they're willing to. Again, every detachment's different. It depends on the detachment commanders. So my suggestion is, yep, make a phone call to your local detachment, ask. If you're in the recruitment process, if you've applied, a lot of the time different detachments will not let you do one unless you are in the process, unless you're serious about becoming an officer. So again, it's worth a try. The worst they can say is no. Okay, so someone's saying that what is a common mistake that applicants make and what makes an applicant stand out? So that's a really good question. When you apply to the OPP, like I've mentioned before, it's online now. So when we review your application, we are always looking for grammar. We're looking for your spelling. We're looking for lots of examples. So my suggestion is have somebody thoroughly read over, proofread your application before you press submit. Sometimes we look at documents numerous times and we don't pick up on mistakes because we've looked at it so many times. So it's always good to have somebody review it before you press send. Okay, so I have somebody asking about Kirkland Lake. So to be honest with you, I've never been to Kirkland Lake. I would love to go there. Maybe I'll get an opportunity to go there sometime. But I did speak to one of my fellow recruiters up in the area who's worked up there. And I've learned a little bit about it. So apparently there's about 8,000 people living up there. There's a Canadian Tire, there's an independent grocer. I've been told it's a great place to police and learn. It's a busy detachment. There's a Northern College there. So if you have a partner or child that's looking to continue their education, there are plenty of opportunities in the community to continue your education when it comes to post-secondary. And my understanding is that there are French and English schools. So in Northern Ontario, sure, it is a smaller, the communities are smaller, but there are plenty of opportunities for schooling. So schooling both in French and English. Again, do your homework, have a look at the areas that you're interested in, reach out to officers at those detachments, or hey, if you see an officer somewhere around town, ask them questions. It's worth it. So somebody's asking about Pickle Lake Detachment. So you know what, Pickle Lake is a duration posting. I'm just going to look to see. I think we're at 2 years in Pickle Lake. If you go there, so a great incentive is that when you go to a detachment such as Pickle Lake, you're going to get paid an extra $40,000 split amongst the 2 years. So not only are you signing on to work up in Pickle Lake for 2 years, but you also get this extra little bit of money just to help you out, because things such as groceries tend to be sometimes a little more expensive because there's maybe only one store to go grocery shopping at. So the OPP does give you these incentives to go up there. But the benefit of going up to those places is the fact that there aren't as many officers. So there's so many opportunities to advance your career, take extra courses. A lot of people, they will, or a lot of officers will go up there because they are interested in becoming a sergeant and developing themselves, answering calls and doing them start to finish. Whereas sometimes they don't have a crime unit that can help out. So you do find that you investigate different calls for service start to finish. Whereas in Southern Ontario, sometimes a crime unit or another unit will come in and help you right away and kind of take over an investigation. But in the North, we don't have as many of these different units sometimes that are able to take on all the calls that they regularly would in a Southern Ontario detachment. So you do get those opportunities to try different things, such as warrant writing, and things like that. So do you have a list of detachments that need immediate staffing? I do not, but in Northeastern and Northwestern Ontario, we are in need of officers. So if you're interested in policing in the North, I 100% suggest looking at all of our different detachments, and especially looking in the Northeast and Northwest, because we are in need of officers everywhere in the province, but Northeast and Northwest is really big. So, oh. Does foreign military experience considered an asset? You know what? Ted has asked that today. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a special skill. If you were in the military, it's a transferable skill. If you were in the military, say you have experience with firearms, say you have experience leading a team or things like that, you can talk to many of the different 10 areas of assessment when it comes to having experience in the military. So it is an asset for sure. There's plenty of other assets too that you can put down on your application. It doesn't matter if you have experience in Canada, it doesn't matter if you've experienced overseas. Put everything down. We really like to hear about who you are, where you come from, things like that. Little things that you wouldn't think are a special skill actually are, such as you have your pleasure craft operator's card. You were a bartender and you have your smart serve. That's another thing. A little bit about myself. Before I got on with the OPP, I actually worked at a golf course. I was a beer cart girl. Before that, I was working in a bar. So you know what? I had experience dealing with people that were intoxicated. I had experience, and I had done my training for my smart serve. So these are all special skills that maybe you don't think are valuable to list, but they actually are. So dealing with people, I was dealing with people driving golf carts. I was not over serving people. So I was also talking to people on a regular basis. So these are skills that actually have helped me in my career because I wasn't afraid to talk to people when I first got on as a police officer. So got another question here. So what if an applicant has out-of-country education background? Will the OPP accept it? Absolutely. You're going to have to get it. There are websites, there's companies that will translate it for us so that we know that it is comparable to a Ontario education, so your high school diploma. It has to be comparable to that as long as it is for high school. Anything for college, university, same thing, as long as it's translated so that we know where it's comparable with Ontario and Canadian standards. That's totally fine. So, hi. So somebody's asked about being bilingual, and if you need to be deployed to the Eastern Ontario area near Quebec, like Hawkesbury and Ottawa. Obviously, any extra languages that you have benefit you and the other people around you and are an asset on your application. So that's a special skill, being able to speak a different language, whether it's French, whether it's English, whether it's Spanish. Please write that down. You don't have to have another language to apply to the OPP to go to a specific area. Obviously, if you're going to a very French-speaking area, it would be an asset, but it's not mandatory. So another question, if you had to start over, would you still choose the OPP? Absolutely, I would. I really enjoy the fact that I could transfer anywhere in the province. So like I said, I've moved from Southern Ontario to Northern Ontario to the Northeast region. I love getting or having the opportunity to police in other areas. I love that if for whatever reason my family needs to move at some point, I am not stuck. I don't have to apply to another police service. I can just apply for a transfer. I think it's a huge benefit. I love that there's opportunities all around the province, that if there is a specialty that I want to get involved in. So say if for whatever reason I decided that I ever wanted to go for the tactical response unit, the TRU team, I would have to move to be part of that team. But there are those opportunities that I could move. The other thing is that the OPP has so many different opportunities. Like I said before, the emergency response team, if you like the tactical unit stuff, the TRU team, you can be K9, you can be, we have our own planes, we have a helicopter. So if you're a pilot, it's awesome that you could have an opportunity to apply for something like that down your career. So there's so many opportunities, especially if you're willing to move around the province. They're at your fingertips. That doesn't mean that there's not opportunities at local detachments, because there are in the Northeast, Northwest, plenty of opportunities. But the larger units, they are kind of in specific areas, such as the larger centers. Okay. So can I apply if I'm living outside the province? Absolutely, you can. Like I said earlier, if you're in another country, in another province, yes, you can apply to the OPP. We're going to need a few extra documents from you, such as if you've got a driver's license out of province, we're going to need to see your background for that. But absolutely, you can apply. Again, like I said, everything's online, so it makes it easy for you to apply from home. Somebody has an upcoming psych interview. So again, with the process with the OPP, I'll just touch a little bit about it. You apply to the OPP online. Once your application is accepted from us, somebody will be reviewing it. They'll assign you a number, and that will be your number that will follow you throughout the recruitment process. You will receive an email that will say, please send us a video of you completing the shuttle run, the 20-meter shuttle run. You're expected to get level 7 on that. So you have to take a video of yourself completing the shuttle run, or you have to go to one of our shuttle run events that we're hosting across the province. Do that, you send in your video, or go to an event, you get a certificate. If you go to the event, you upload that onto your application, or you send in your video. One of our recruiters will be reviewing your video. If you do successfully reach level 7, then you'll move to the next part of the process, which is pre-screening, where a recruiter will review your whole file, make sure that you do have a driver's license, everything's good. So then after you've completed that portion, or our recruiters have completed that portion, if everything looks good and we think you're pretty competitive, then you move on, or you'll be offered a interview. You'll receive an email from us that will book your interview. Your local focus interview will be, again, with one of our recruiters. It will be online with Microsoft Teams. Again, like I was mentioning earlier, the local focus interview is about the 10 areas of assessment. There's no tricks. We want to know about you. We want to know about your story. We want to know that you're a good person and that you would make a good police officer. Our suggestion is, obviously, don't hide anything. Tell us the truth, because if obviously you're hiding things and not being totally honest with us, we're going to find out. So just be honest. Integrity is key there. After your interview, if you're successful in it, you'll receive an email saying that you've moved on to the background portion. When you've moved on to the background portion, another officer, most of them are retired, will be assigned your file, and they'll be contacting all your references. So again, there's 3 references for each area that you've submitted, so 9 overall that will be contacted, and an interview will be done with them. After you've completed that, then you will move on, or there will be psych testing throughout that, throughout the background. You'll be doing some tests online and meeting with a psychologist, an OPP psychologist. If successful in that whole process, then you'll move on to final review and hopefully an offer of employment. So, as a person from Southern Ontario, what made you fall in love with Northern Ontario? So, to be honest with you, I went to school in Sudbury, and that's kind of where I found my love for Northern Ontario. Things that I love are people are very friendly, slower pace of life. So people aren't rushing everywhere. On my commute to work, I don't hit any traffic lights. It's cruise control the whole way. Sure, I have to drive So far to get to Sudbury, not a big deal. It's on cruise control and I don't have to worry about traffic. There's times that I pull out of my driveway, I drive to work and I don't have to hit my brakes on the highway at all, which is great. I can just do cruise control the whole way. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that everyone knows everyone in the communities that I'm policing. I enjoy that my children are given an education at a smaller school. So there's plenty of benefits to the north. Sure, you can't go to Costco. In the community that I'm in right now, there's a Costco in Sudbury. The next closest one is in Southern Ontario. Not a big deal because we plan ahead. We'll make a day trip if I need to get to Costco. Not a big deal. I can't go to go buy an outfit the last minute to go out for the night or something like that, but I plan ahead. So you know what, overall, I love Northern Ontario. I'm here for life now, so I wouldn't change it. Is there a difference with the cost of living is another question. Absolutely. Again, with the housing market in Southern Ontario, the GTA, I wouldn't have been able to afford anything but a townhouse when I was living down there. And then I moved up north and I bought a place on a lake. Every time my family comes up to visit, they're like, this is the $1 million view. You live on a lake. You could have never afforded this in Southern Ontario, and I totally agree. Picture this, coming off your shift at work. You've just worked a long day, getting home, walking out of your car, down your back lawn to your dock, get in your boat and you go for a cruise on your boat right after work, or you go water skiing or wakeboarding. The opportunities are endless up here. And a lot of people from Southern Ontario, they drive like 2-3 hours to get to their cottage or camp or to go fishing. We can do that right after our shifts or before night shift if we want to. So there's plenty of opportunities up here, which I really enjoy. Okay, so does the hiring process take longer for a permanent resident? Absolutely not. So you know what, to apply to the OPP, you either have to be a Canadian citizen or have your PR card, so be a permanent resident. It will not take longer for you. The only thing that might take a little bit longer would be if at background, the investigators have to contact people from out of the province or out of the country. That sometimes can take some time, especially if we're in different time zones. But again, everything should be the same. There shouldn't be a holdup in really anything there. Again, like I said, 4 to 6 months. Sometimes I know somebody mentioned 2 months start to finish for theirs. So yeah. So I see another question about an age limit to apply. Absolutely not. So minimum, that's all we have, 18 years old. As long as you're 18, you can apply to us. Again, we do look at life experience as an asset. So sometimes an 18-year-old doesn't have as much life experience and financially. So we do look at finances and things like that as your background life experience when you are applying. So be aware of that. But there is no cutoff. I remember going through and I had people in my class, it was their second, third career. They were over 50 years old, so that's not a big deal at all. So gonna take one more question here if anyone wants to throw one out. So how soon in our career can we apply for a specialized unit? So again, you're applying to be a police officer that's a frontline provincial constable with the OPP. We recognize that sometimes people want to get into specialties, yes. We suggest obviously you need to pass your probationary period, of course, that's your first year working as a police officer. There's plenty of to learn. After 3 to 5 years, absolutely, it's a great time to apply to a specialized unit. But sometimes, especially in the Northern Ontario detachments, we do have officers that are given opportunities much sooner. Sometimes after their probationary period, they are offered opportunities such as like being part of a crime unit or applying to the emergency response team. There are some officers that are able to do that after their second year on the road. And again, that's just an opportunity that might arise if you are in a detachment that's in need of these specialties. And like I said, in Northern Ontario, sometimes there's more opportunities. So I 100% suggest applying to the OPP. Plenty of opportunities, doesn't matter where you are in the province. Apply. We're accepting applications 24/7. We're hiring a lot of officers. There's plenty of opportunities. I totally suggest coming to the North, even if you're from Southern Ontario. If you're up for an adventure, it's a beautiful spot in the North. Plenty of lakes to swim, boat, fishing. You don't have to drive 21 hours to go hunting like you would if you lived in Southern Ontario. So try it out. So totally worth a try. And again, if you're up for an adventure, go for it. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining the first AMA of 2025. Stay tuned for the next AMA. It's going to be coming up in the next few months. And I look forward to answering all your questions next